Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought we'd make this fun, colorful Easter card. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start off with this die here, and you see you get all these little pieces with this set as well. And this is the Foursquare Backdrop Portrait Die Set from Lawn Fawn. So I've gone ahead and die cut that, and I cut that out of some Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. And I'm going to attach it to my table here just so it doesn't move around while we do a little bit of stenciling. So I'm just using the Tombow permanent tape just to attach that, but as long as we remove it fairly quickly, that tape will easily remove from this glass medium mat. So I'm going to go ahead, and there's the tape there. That's the Tombow tape. And now I have my Picket Fence Studio Life Changing brush and my Reactive ink in the Pool Party from Hero Arts. So I'm going to apply a nice coating of this all the way around. Now this reactive ink reacts to water, so if you want to spatter or spritz the page, you get this beautiful effect with the water. And we are going to be doing a little bit of spattering later on, so I'll show you that as well. So again, I'm going to apply a nice even coating of this, and these Hero Arts reactive inks just come in the most beautiful colors, and that's one reason I chose them today. They actually lent themselves really well to this Easter, colorful Easter card. So now I'm going to grab the blue raspberry and my stencil, and this is the Cloudy Stencil from Lawn Fawn. Now I've got my Picket Fence Studio brush, again a little bit smaller one, and I'm going to go ahead and apply that ink. I like to start on the stencil and then push the ink up towards the top. Now you can see my brush was a little bit dirty there when I did the first one. It's a little bit darker in that corner. So I did clean off the brush and then started doing this process again. But I'm not going to worry about that too much. We'll fix that a little bit later on. So I'm going to go down the entire panel with this Cloudy Stencil, and you can see this gives a lot of interest to our background here. Now you certainly could have just stenciled the background before you die cut this, but I just found it easier just to do this process once I knew where everything was going to be. Now here, I'm going to take that ink and go around the edges, and that'll soften up that area in that upper corner as well where it's a little bit darker. So I'm just going to add a nice shadow all the way around the cardstock here. And that'll just kind of frame this panel. So now that that's all set, I'm going to use my Lawn Fawn Liquid Stardust. You want to shake this really well, and I'm putting a little on my glass medium mat, and then I'm spritzing it with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer. And this is just a really pretty sparkly effect. I'm just going to spatter this panel all over. And with that reactive ink, we're going to get a little bit of reaction to the ink as well. So I'll show you that a little bit later on. I'm just going to set that aside to dry for now. Now I cut the bottom of this Foursquare panel. I just needed the bottom section. I wanted that stitching around the bottom and the two sides. And then we're going to do this grassy border. So I'm going to tape this down with a little bit of purple tape. And again, this is the Grassy border die from Lawn Fawn. And I just want a little tiny bit of that grassy border at the bottom. I'm going to run this through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. And again, you'll see that that leaves a little bit of a stitched border around the bottom and the two sides. So now with Key Lime Fizz and Blue Raspberry, I'm going to color in this grass. I'm going to place a nice coating of the Key Lime Fizz all over, and I'm using my little sponge daubers to apply this ink. It's just easier on some of these smaller areas to use the daubers. Then I have a little bit more control over where the ink is going to go. And then again, I'm adding a little highlight of Blue Raspberry or I should say a little bit of a shadow here with the blue raspberry down towards the bottom. And then I'm going back to the Key Lime Fizz and I'm going to blend that out. That's going to sit right at the bottom of the panel there. So I'm going to let that dry. And now I'm going to grab that tag there in the bottom right. This is from the Tiny Tags collection. I went ahead and die cut that 4 times using Key Lime Fizz, Fruit Punch, Lemon Drop, and Grape Slush. I'm going to go ahead and color these in. Now I'm starting with the Fruit Punch. What I'm going to do is start on the glass media mat and just push a little bit of that ink up onto these little tags. And again, I'm just using these little sponge daubers to do this because I don't want to cover the whole thing with the color. And then I'm picking up the tag and I'm going to add a little bit of a darker edge all the way around the edges there. And you can see that. So I'll do the same thing for all of these little tags. And that's how they'll sit on our card. So the next thing I want to do is some stamping. So I'm going to grab that little basket, the 2 bunnies, and that little egg. And this is the Easter before and after stamp, and there are coordinating dies as well. So I went ahead and stamped and die cut everything. Now using light violet, light blue, peach pink, light green, yellow, and orange, and these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, I'm going to start coloring in all of these little eggs. And I'll just show you one here. I'm doing the same thing for all of these, adding a little bit of color to the left-hand side and then pulling it across, keeping that right-hand side very light. And that'll just give a little dimension to these eggs. Again, I'm going to use all those colors and color in all these little eggs. And I'm adding a little color to the paint brushes that those 2 little bunnies are holding. Now with Sugared Almond Pink and Gray Brown, I'm going to color in all the bunnies. And I'll just show you one of these. So I added the Sugared Almond Pink, and now I'm adding the Gray Brown. And I'll just start to blend that in. I'm kind of keeping the center of the face the lightest. And again, these are a water-based marker, so you can use a water brush here to do your blending as well. But I'm using the Zig blender pen to do my blending. And you do want to clean it off in between colors. And you can also remove ink with it as well, that you see me doing that there. Now with the mid brown, I'm going to add a little bit of color to the paintbrush, the handle. And then I did decide to come in with a little bit of that oatmeal color and just add a little highlight to that paintbrush as well. So again, I did all 4 of those the same way. Now for this little basket, I went ahead and colored in the bunny and the eggs, but I did want to show you how I colored in the basket. So I'm using the oatmeal and the mid brown, and I'm going to add those shadows towards the side and then pull those colors right in towards the middle. And for the handles, I'll use that lighter color, and then I'll add a little bit of the darker color at the top and the bottom and pull in towards the middle here. And then I'm going back to that pink, that bright pink color that we used before, and I'm just going to do the bow on this little basket. And I'm adding a little bit of that lighter pink color to the bottom edge of this little area on the basket and just blending that out just a little bit. So now I've got all my little pieces ready and colored in. Now I've got these pretty little pastel brads. These are from the Recollections brads. These are the medium circles. And I've just selected the 4 colors here. And I'm just going to attach one to each of these little tags. And that gives us another little pop of color here. I'll list all of these products down below as well, and also on my blog in case you're interested in these. Now, I do want to keep these in order, these little panels, as I take them out so that I can put them back in the same way that they were in there before. And then what's going to happen here is we're just going to attach these little tags. Now, you certainly could punch holes in these little squares and attach the brad all the way through, but I just thought this would be easier just to pop these up, give the illusion that they're attached with the brads, and then I didn't have to worry about the centering of making the holes and all of that. So I just decided to put a little foam mounting tape on the back of these and pop these up. So again, that gives the illusion that these are attached to the card here. That the brads are attached to the card, I should say. So now I'm going to grab my little bunnies here. And I'm just playing around here to see which way I like these best. And then I'm grabbing the Lawn Fawn glue tube, and I'm just going to glue these flat right on the top of these tags. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all 4 of these. And once that's all set, I did decide to die cut that Foursquare backdrop one more time, again out of the Strathmore 100-pound cardstock. I just felt this panel was a little bit thin, so I just want to give it a little bit more substance, so I'm just going to glue these 2 together, and that's going to make this just a little bit thicker. I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers bone folder just to press that out. Now I cut a panel to match the size of that Foursquare backdrop, just so it would sit behind this panel. Just for a little bit of substance here, again, just to thicken it up a little bit. And I'm taking my Scotch foam mounting tape and I'm just going to cut some little strips of it here and place it around the back of this frame. Once I have that done, I'm going to remove the backing and attach that to this panel. And this white panel won't show. Again, it's just to give it a little bit more substance. So I'm going to go ahead and place my little squares in there. Again, make sure you keep these in order so that the clouds line up with the clouds on the frame. And these are really easy to line up. They'll drop right into place there. And I'm just going to use my bone folder here just to make sure they're pressed down. And again, I'm going to do that for all 4 of these. So now that those are all set, I'm just going to fluff up the this grassy border just a little bit. And then I'll place some glue right along the bottom edge and attach that to my card. You could also use the 1/8 inch double-sided tape from Lawn Fawn to do this as well. But I did want to be able to move it around just a little bit here to make sure it was nice and straight. So that's why I chose the glue. Now I'll grab that little bunny in the basket there and I'll tuck that right in the center of my card. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach that. And then I'll just position all these little eggs down at the bottom. Kind of tucking some in behind the grass here and some in front, just for a little bit of interest. And again, with these reactive inks, these colors, I find that the colors seem to just coordinate so well together. It's such a pretty combination of colors. And the reason I chose to use these today is because some of these colors I don't seem to find in my other ink pads. So I go to these here and there because of the color combinations that you can get. And they do blend really easily. They blend just as easily as your Distress Oxides do. So now I'm going to grab the Everyday Sentiment banner, and I'm grabbing the smallest one. And for the sentiment, I'm going back to that same stamp set that we used before, and I'm just going to stamp "Have a Colorful Day." I'm inking that up with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I've placed it in my Mini Misty to do the stamping. With these little detailed sentiments, you don't want to press down too hard when you do your stamping. Just lightly press, and you could always ink it up and stamp it again. I find that a really light touch is a little bit better here. So I'm taping that die down with a little bit of purple tape, and I'll run that through the Sizzix Sidekick machine. Now, I did decide that this was a little bit too long, so I am going to cut it. It certainly would work this way, but I did decide to cut those two ends off. So I'm just recreating that little V on each side and just cutting maybe about 1 inch off each side here. Then I'll ink up around the edges of this just to add a little bit more color and just to finish it off. And certainly any of these colors would work well here. So I really couldn't decide. So I did decide on the Key Lime Fizz because it kind of coordinates with the grassy border. But again, any of these colors would be really pretty here. I'm just going to center that right on that frame. Now for the card, I have cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I'm scoring it at 5 1/2. And that'll give me a standard A2 top folding card, which will measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Just pressing that out with the bone folder, and now I can go ahead and attach that panel to my card. I'm using my ATG 700 permanent tape dispenser to tape this down. And this is a nice strong adhesive, so this is going to hold this in place really well. So let me give you a closer look at the finished card. I just think these little bunnies are so cute, and I love the little frame and the tags. And you can see some of that sparkly metallic spatter that we have in the background there. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. And as always, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.